Welcome to the Warren Cycling Podcast. My name is Randy Warren, and I'm in Asheville, North Carolina.
My name is Dean Warren. I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. And you might notice I am wearing my working clothes again. But a little bit quieter place, I think, than the last spot I found here at the Atlanta Hartsfield International Airport. And it is episode 345 of the Warren Cycling Podcast. We're recording the first day of February 2024. Wow, already a month has gone by. Already a World Tour stage race is completed. World Championship Cyclocross coming up this weekend. There's other not World Tour, but races with World Tour teams going on in Saudi Arabia, Spain, and France. And some other places too. But
now France. They were supposed to start, and then
yesterday, but they're racing today, I think, aren't they? Etouage butcher that name pretty. But that's the one.
16.5K to go right now.
That's the one Nielsen Paulus won last year, isn't it? Etouage Bessy, I believe so.
Could be.
But he's not wearing the number one. They put Alberto Bettiol with the number one on. So I thought, that seems strange. Or maybe he won the Marseille race.
Yeah.
We should remember these things, shouldn't we? But at our age now, I guess we can get a little bit of a pass. But
I know that So Liggett used to be criticized all the time because he forget things. And then I met Phil.
How much older is he than us?
70 something.
Yeah.
But I remember him saying, though, he goes, it's not that easy. So it's like, people think it's easy to do this kind of stuff. And they even had a thing where he was at an event and they showed some tour footage, and then they had people try and commentate with the footage. You go, see, it's not that easy.
We're talking about how many different cycling teams. I mean, there's 18 World Tour teams plus the other wildcard teams, and maybe 30 riders. I'm not trying to compare it to like Major League Baseball or NFL. I guess it's not that much different. How many number of players are involved?
Well, they also the commentators though study those things, and they if you're a baseball commentator,
actually they're paid for it too. They get paid to do that.
Exactly, and it's their job. They do every day. They're broadcasting a game, and they're seeing different teams, and like for football, they spend all week long, studying the rosters and interviewing players and coaches, and so they're very well prepared for each and every event. So the cycling ones, I mean, they're broadcasting a lot of races, the Eurosport announcers and stuff too. So they're seeing a lot of races too, because they just recognize people. Like I was watching a replay of Milan-San Remo the other day from last year, and one announcer said, "Oh, that's so and so," and the other one said, "No, it's this guy." And they just, because they see them all the time, they're used to how they look on the bike and their style and stuff too. So we're at a disadvantage for sure. So I'll use that as my excuse.
But I just looked it up. Nielsen Paulus did win this stage race last year.
Oh,
so
good.
My hunch was, or my kind of memory, my fuzzy memory, I don't know. So yeah, he won this race last year. But the first stage though was canceled. Protests in France. There's farmers protesting in France. I think they're
a siege on Paris. The farmers are doing a siege on Paris. Yeah.
Yeah, I heard they're in Brussels as well. And actually, when I was traveling in Germany, I don't know if we mentioned that on the podcast about the getting of the train because train strike, but also that there were farmers that were blocking some of the roads. So my backup ride back to Munich could have been hampered by that protest. So yeah, European farming in general, I guess, have a lot to protest about. Hopefully they get all this protesting done early in the year. Maybe they can get things worked out so they don't impact like the bigger events happening later on this summer, especially considering that the Olympics will be in France and Paris. And
a lot of pressure on
the tour, although there's been lots of times where there's been protests at the Tour de France for
the history of protests. Yeah.
Right. And even just at the World Championships last year in Scotland.
Yeah.
It delayed it over an hour, which helped me get to Glasgow. So I didn't mind that protest. And
Matteo Van Der Poel said that helped him win because he really had to use the restroom, and he was able to use I guess the whole team went to someone's house and they let him in and use the restroom.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and he said that was one of the key things in terms of his victory was being able to go to the bathroom there. I think he had to defecate actually. So yeah, it was for sure. I think too things are different in Europe. There's the labor unions or the long history there, and government controls farming more than they do here. So they can protest against the government, saying we need to have a living wage, but apparently right now some of the farmers don't have a living wage. We're here, most farms are run by huge corporations now. It's a different world. Yeah.
Sure. Look, when you mentioned about going to the bathroom, I just reminded me of I watched my son Taylor Warren, races for CS Velo again this year, and he started out doing a Three Forks gravel grinder race in Florida, in Palm Bay, which he won. But he just posted a video. He's starting to do more YouTube videos as well. You can follow Taylor and see how the race was from his own perspective, some filming during the race. But he said at the finish line, he went straight he didn't stop much. He went straight to the bathroom because he had to go to the bathroom. But number one, I think. So
one of the biggest second places of my career was to a bunch of Olympians and pro riders and stuff when it was a collegiate race. But I had to go to the bathroom so badly during the race. I thought, I don't know if I can make it to the finish. I might have to stop. But then Dylan Casey just barely beat me at the finish of this race. It was a pro for Postal Service for a lot of years. And I got second place. It looked like I won. So my team all thought that I won because I passed Dylan just after the line. But anyway, I didn't have to go to the bathroom then for 10 minutes, 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden I realized, oh man, I really have to go. So sometimes the exhilaration of a big race finish maybe could take away the pressure of having to go to the bathroom. So Taylor was broken away for a long time. He had one guy joined him, I think, for the last 30K or so of the race.
Two guys. Yeah.
Two guys. Oh, I thought it was one.
Yeah, watch the video.
And he out sprinted. I just wrote a narrative on it. Anyway, he out sprinted somebody. So maybe it wasn't quite as thrilling of a finish for him as it was, for me.
Yeah. So. But in the pro peloton, the normal race, it takes a while sometimes for the break to form, but once the break forms, things settle down. A lot of the peloton pulls over to have a nature break. So
yeah, and in amateur races, sometimes that happens, but in the pros, it's much more regulated. Like if you try to attack while everybody's taking a pee, then that's really bad form. But in the amateur ranks, it happens more often, so you have to be really careful. If you do stop in a race to go to the restroom, I always wait for even though I'm one of the fastest guys, usually I always wait for people I think that are as fast as I am that stop as well, so I know at least I'll be able to chase back on somebody. So, and then you have to go right away. So you can't have the issue with stage fright. Some people do; they stop, can't go to the bathroom. I've never had that issue, fortunately, because if if the group starts leaving and you haven't gone yet, you're just out of luck. Either you're gonna chase longer or maybe you'll never catch back on.
Right, so but some go while they're riding, isn't that? That happens too, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I've done that too. It was kind of messy, so I don't do it very often. So, but but you can, and usually have a teammate push you, so yeah, it happens. But it's also frowned upon, especially in domestic racing. So
yeah. All right. Well, that's enough of that subject. Let's go on to the racing going on in the Alula Tour, which they hardly mention that it's in Saudi Arabia when I'm reading recaps about it.
No, right? I actually looked it up. I'm like, where is this? I think it's in the Middle East, but I'm not sure. And then I had to look it
up. The Saudi team is there, but it's been a lot more sprint finishes and one climbing stage coming up, right?
At the finish, the last stage will be the GC stage. So which it seems like that's the formula for a lot of these Middle Eastern tours. Although one of them last year actually had two climbing stages. The one that Matteo Jorgensen won. I think that one had two climbing stages in it. But
they actually
the Jezebel, didn't they go with that one or something?
Yeah, but it's not the one that Matteo Jorgensen won, the Tour Oman, but the Tour of United Arab Emirates, that has the last 2 days of climbing. They are maybe not the last two, but they do the climb like one direction, one stage, and then like the other direction. Where Adam Yates has always done well in that race.
Yeah. I think typically though there are a lot of sprint stages and then one climbing stage, which is what this one is too. It's a five stage, but sprinters have dominated. Yeah.
Yeah. And stage 2 though had some wind, some echelons going, so that's also can be common in the Middle Eastern races.
Yes, and sometimes sand blowing and it can be nasty.
Yeah. Usually they show big wide or open spaces, and sometimes camels get in the shots, right?
Yeah, you're right. Stage 2 actually had a 2-second gap, so the top 7 guys finished, and then Mikhail Zijalad from Tudor Pro Cycling, he was 2 seconds back with the rest of the field. So
Yeah, I think I saw a headline Tudor got invited to the Giro. Did you see that?
Yeah, they announced the people, and so it's Tudor, yes, of course. That's the Cancellero's team.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yes, they did, which was one of the traditional Italian teams did not get it, but Contador and his team got invited.
Basso,
again, Basso's, and so their team got, and they're actually added a primary sponsor now. So it used to be their bike company was the primary sponsor, but now it's the secondary sponsor. And so they when you have that kind of backing, I think of Cancellara or Basso
and Tudor and Basso and Contador.
So cool. Gives you even over some of these teams have been, but then the other wildcard teams were long been there for many years. And then again, so the top teams that aren't in the World Tour get automatic options to go in there.
And like Israel Premier Tech.
Yeah, and then Lotto was the one that turned down the spot. They had a spot in the Giro and turned it down. So then another team got in.
Wow.
But Israel took it up though this year. They have a bunch of climbers this year.
They won the Tour Down Under.
Yeah, they started out hot. I think so the switch to go to World Tour again doesn't happen for 2 more years, I think, but they're preparing themselves obviously for that. And then there's all this controversy too with Chris Froome on that team too. So it's an interesting team for sure. They've got a lot of young talent coming up now, which they didn't have for a long time. They relied on their older experienced guys that weren't always placing as many races as they could. So yeah, it's good. I mean, but I'd say Michael Woods is like the oldest really good guy on the team. And then
Simon Clark.
Yeah, Simon Clark, you're right. He's 38 or something, right? He's still playing. Yeah. And then they got a lot of young guys too. So
well, the first stage, Casper van Uden, the Dutch rider for Team DSM Femmerick Lotto or Post NL. They got a long name now.
Yeah,
DSM.
I want to call
actually more teams have longer names, like we talked about Decathlon, Âge de Jour, Le Mondial. I mean, we're not gonna say all those words out, especially since we're not like, one of the big podcasts that gets listened to that sponsors will get after us because they won't. No.
If they do, that's a feather in our cap. So yeah.
That's right. So DSM, okay, we can make our own rules. Anyway, he's coming on, and it's a big sprint win against likes of Groenewegen and Merlier. And I found a nice recap. I think it was Pez Cycling. You ever look at the Pez website? Anyway, they recapped the stages pretty well, and so he won the first stage, and then when you listen to the recap of Groenewegen and Merlier, who considered some of the best sprinters who got beat, well, Groenewegen, closer to the finish, he something hit his wheel or something. There's something happened both to Merlier flat or like 5K to go, and then it took a lot of effort to get back. So you can just see the results and think, oh wow, he beat the guy. But sometimes things happen to other riders where I think he got pushed back Groenewegen, and it was hard to make up. He got back up to second, but he didn't win, so he's disappointed, of course.
Yeah.
But the brand new season, we get kind of get to see riders just shaking off the cobwebs a little bit. And what was the race? The Valencia race where they didn't get the break. It was the 2 Italian team riders. That's the one I think Mohoric is racing in.
Oh, I didn't see it. I did hear about Mohoric having some kind of incredible downhilling that he was doing.
I saw something related to that. Yeah.
But so you look, I mean, so I think because of maybe the crosswinds on this day too, but the GC, so Casper van Uden is still in first place by 2 seconds over Miller, who won
today
or yesterday.
Yeah.
Today,
yeah, just
stage 3.
a bit ago.
And then Matteo Sobero is for Bora Hansgrohe, and then Neil Zykhoff and Brian Cockard. So and then Fred Wright, who is the English speaker, He's in 7th place too. But they're separated by 2 seconds, 10 seconds, 12, 14. So there's a few seconds difference.
But the climb will shake things up.
Yeah, Sean Yates is sitting there waiting, or Simon Yates rather. Simon Yates is sitting there for he's sitting 16 seconds down, and I think he's waiting for the last.
Can make that up.
Yeah, last stage too. So he obviously is in good shape. He raced well in the Tour Down Under. He didn't win, but he raced really strongly. So I think he's looking for that for sure. But you never know. There might be somebody who also is climbing really well who'll do. The climbs aren't like
because Tour Down Under, we were a little surprised. What turned up there.
Yeah, and people, it was interesting. I think the GCN guys were saying that it's always interesting to see who from the Tour Down Under does really well, and then how that plays out after that, because it's not, it's not always that you do really well there, you're gonna have a great season necessarily.
No, it's so early.
Yeah, and the guy who finished
in
second in the second to last stage, he broke his collarbone. So yeah, so he was flying fast, and then now he's going to be out for a little while doing that.
But it's a good time if you're going to break a collarbone, I guess.
Maybe beginning of the year is tough, and he was obviously in really good shape. So yeah, it's hard to say. So it looks like the last day climb is only 2.8 kilometers, but it's 12.5% average grade. So just under 3K at 12.5%. So it's significant, but it's not like it's a pure climber's climb.
All right. Stephen Williams. I had to look at his name because he's the one that we kind of beat around the bush. His name, the rider from Israel Premier Tech that won the Tour Down Under.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did read the article about Stephen Williams, how he's 27, so he's from Wales, he's a Welshman, but also riding for DSM. So DSM getting off to a good start where they've had not as many wins the last few years.
No.
So, but yeah, he is, I think, 27 now and had some injury years. So he's really finally gotten all his injuries behind him. So Israel Premier Tech's going to be looking to, lean on him a little bit more to continue this form and have a good season. Maybe he thinks the Grand Tour, he's not sure how he'll do in that, and because he's more of a Pontour rider, he says, and the longer climbs might be more difficult. But yeah, we'll see how he does. Like you said, you don't know always the indication who does well at Tour Down Under, how they do later on in the season.
Yeah, in the Cadel Evans Great Ocean Road Race, that's a 1 point World Tour team race. Yeah, I mean, and that was not stacked with people you normally see winning the races at that time too. So Quinn Simmons made a big attack, I guess, towards the end, ended up finishing 15th. But it was a big attacking race. But there was, a group of 13 people who stayed out the front, and then it was broken up after that. People kind of shattered. So it was a punchy course at the end. And Lawrence Pith, is that how you say it? Pith?
Yeah.
Yeah, from Groupama FDJ. So he won, and then the is interesting because Natno Tasviston, maybe you say his name is from. So he almost got the win too. But so I think anytime we have someone he's from Asmara with he's born in Asmara, but he's Eritrean. So from Eritrea, he does really well. Anytime you see someone from Black African doing well in a race, it's hopefully diversifying the sport well and stuff like that too. And so he's only 24 years old, and he's won the Tour of Rwanda a couple times. But is looking to do big things for Little Trek, and so he was second in that race too.
Yeah, but the Volta Comunicat Valencia race going on, it's going to finish up here, 6.7 kilometers to go. What I do like, they added last year, and it seemed to have expanded more, as the live stats, the live coverage that Pro Cycling Stats now, where you can follow. Like I forward you. We've been talking about how to watch races now that GCN Plus is gone, and I forward you, and you see on Cycling News as well. But there is coverage of the coverage out there. You can go to our website and find out, okay, which races and how do I watch it, and what do I have to pay to get in that. So So we're not going to go into that more, but
Other than that, it's much harder now.
Yeah.
We were so blessed for a long time having everything on GCN. You just paid a relatively small amount of money each year, and then you could get every race pretty much on the sun, under the sun. So yeah, and now it's like you kind of have to pick and choose if you want to see Grand Tours or ASO races or yeah, it's much more complicated.
I think it was, if you want to watch everything or sign up for every subscription, it was like $500 to $600, I think.
Really expensive.
Yeah, per year. Yeah.
So we do have results real quick too from the French race. So Axel Lawrence was first, from Alpecin de Koenig, and then Mads Petersen came in second.
Mads Petersen second. Good. Yeah, Lidl's looking to. They've got more backing into the Trek. Lidl Trek is more European based. It's still a US based team, but Quinn Simmons, the only American registered. Yeah. Just like the EF Education's, Swiss. I mean, American. So I was reading the article about how the US, there's 13, I think, in the World Tour this year, spread across like 10 teams. They're not concentrated all on the teams like they used to be, where EF Education before, when it was Garmin, had lots of Americans, or Trek had a lot more Americans from the US registered teams. But you said BMC was Swiss registered, or it was US?
It was Swiss.
Swiss backed, US registered. Anyway, they're spread around, the US riders are, and so you don't see any big concentration on one single team anymore in the World Tour. But
no, and then there's just like the Q, the one that Joey Rosskopf's on too. So the other teams that are the next level down too. There's Americans riding in a lot of the big races too. So it's a pretty good mix, which is good and bad, I guess. It'd be nice if we had so many people that we could have some teams have more, like French teams, even the World Tour teams probably have more French riders, but also a good international mix. But right now, there's not enough U.S. racers, but there's quite a few, and there's a lot of young guys too. So hopefully,
high quality racers too.
Yeah,
racers that can get results, as we've seen the last couple of years. So
yeah, even though it seems like the state of American racing is in shambles in a lot of ways, there's still enough opportunities for people who have the means to be able to do it. So it's not really.
Get to Europe. There's
not as many grassroots people, like going through an American system, don't have much money, and just racing a lot and getting recognized and going. It's more people who have the means to be able to, go to Europe as a junior, or maybe they've got some other kind of connections that they can, if they're a really good racer, they can make things work for them. So, but there's enough of them though that actually is, and there is that U.S. Academy. I don't know if that's still going on. Even you can buy your way into it. Racing over in Europe, you just pay a bunch of money and get to the U.S. Academy along with some of the national team guys, and then get to race over in Europe too. So yeah.
Well, it looked like this stage here in Valencia had some climbing, but then a downhill finish. And right now, who's one of the best downhill riders? You're just right, Mohoric.
Yeah.
Looks like he's out in front by 5 seconds. Coming in with just under about 2.4 kilometers to go. So
it is interesting though, because I was listening. I was watching Milan San Remo, the finish from last year, and you think Mohoric would have the fastest descent on the Poggio because he was, he
used a dropper post again last year.
But he was like the fourth or fifth fastest. I forget who was the fastest.
Well, maybe there are riders ahead of him this time. You can't.
Yeah. No. I mean.
You mean when he descended to win
for the Strava history? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't know the wins and that sort of thing too. Although you can only go so fast down the descent.
Right. He actually went off the road. So yeah. But Matteo Van der Poel last year, he had a pretty darn good descent too. And then they talked about Nibali's was one of the better descents too, but it was like the same thing, like fourth or so like that too. When he attacked and went solo too. So. It's but Mohoric for sure is one of the best descenders. Yeah. I don't think he'll hold the 5 seconds off, but we'll see.
Yeah, well, it's still saying with 1/2 K to go 5 seconds. But I don't know how it finishes.
A year ago, we could just watch it on GCN and see it live.
Well, you mentioned Matteo van der Poel. I guess that's a good segue into this weekend's World Championship cyclocross racing going on in the Czech Republic or the Czechia. Tabor, is it Tabor? Tabor? It's a World Cup circuit course. Tabor. Yeah. That's in 2015. Matteo van der Poel won his first of 5 World Championships and highly favored to win his 6th. Although last weekend, was it Hoogerheide? Was the World Cup race? He only won only by like 5 seconds. But he had come off some training and a break, so he's probably just getting back revved up again. It should be a fast course. They were talking maybe it could snow, and at night maybe it was icing over some, but or rain won't be muddy. It's going to be a pretty fast course, and which I think favors maybe one of the American riders more, Eric Bruner. I think he goes really well on a fast course.
A fast course, yeah.
Yeah. So we say Scott Funston and Curtis White, Eric Bruner, the current national champion. Those 3 are representing the men.
Yep, exactly. Just 3, but still 3. And Curtis White's been many times. Eric Bruner's been a few times. Is Scott Funston been there before? I wonder. But
he's been one of the top racers this year for sure.
Yeah, he races for the same team.
Mahoric won by 15 seconds now.
Oh wow!
Just a little breaking news.
They opened maybe they set up knowing no sprinters wanted to take the initiative and maybe weren't sprinters left too. So yeah, so Eric Bruner and Scott Funston are both on WTP Pivot off road, the same team. And they're both living in Boulder, Colorado. So maybe they train together and it'll be a good group there.
So Mahoric has won 12 races now solo, so making a good name of himself for a break. Every generation maybe has some top breakaway. When you think about now, Thomas de Hent is probably one of the ones before Jens Vogt or Thomas Volkler. Those were the guys that you would see a lot in the breakaways. But Mahoric, yeah. So.
But I was thinking about too. So he's 29 years old, so he's still pretty young too.
Yeah, he's the reigning gravel world champion too. Yeah. So over there at the Czech Republic, besides Matteo van der Poel, I mean the other top guy. I mean there's not Wout van Aert or Tom Pidcock, but those other cyclocrossers are going to be maybe battling out more for a second or not. But you never know. Anything can happen in a race like that. But
well, it's interesting too because a Spanish person, right, finished third. Is that what it says here? No, I'm sorry. Oh, I never mind. I was looking. I thought I was looking at the results from that race, but it ended up being no. So usually the Dutch and the Belgians
dominate.
Yeah. So, but
if we get a top 20, it's pretty good.
Yeah, I read an article about Cameron Mason though. So he was silver medalist at the European Championships this year in cyclocross, and he's hoping for a top 5 finish to break kind of some of that stranglehold. He's the one of the few people who that aren't Dutch or Belgian that are finishing up there.
Yeah.
So the last one at Hoogerheide, Clement Venturini from he's a French, was 8th. It was the first non Dutch or Belgian. And then it's Felipe Orts Lorette, who's Spanish, was 9th. And then the Swiss, Tim Rug was 10th. So top 10, 3 in top 10 there. So that's always the hope. And they're limited to how many people they can have for each country in the race. We only have 3 Americans, but I think they have
9, I think, Belgians and 8 Dutch.
Yeah.
I think those are the big teams. So the Dutch have some more stronger riders on the men's side. Used to be the Belgians, like only Belgium. Yeah. So with besides Lars van der Haar, who's been very good as a Dutchman later, but yours Nieuwenhuis.
Oh yeah.
He's had a great year, and then Pim Ronhaar. Pim Ronhaar is really strong this year too. So those guys will be up there.
26th, Oh, and then Zdeněk Štibar too. He was 27th, right, with Curtis White. He's gonna end his career with the World Championship. He's a 3-time.
And he's from the Czech Republic. So
yeah. The home course from. He watched the race as a 12-year-old, and then he went as a junior, I think, and got silver as a junior there, and then won the World Championships 3 times, at least once there in Tabor. So yeah, and he's gonna end. So he looked for a contract, I guess, this year on the road to hopefully ride through the classics and didn't get one. He said he was too busy with racing and preparing for things and didn't spend much time looking for a contract. So he's freelancing it. So he wore a jersey at last week's race or the week before that just said thank you in several different languages, in English and German and something else too. So yeah, so he's in good shape actually though too. He's and he might ride for a Czech domestic team, I think, for a little bit too. They're thinking about a pro, domestic team. So anyway, but it's interesting to see that he's still racing, and he's 30. How old is he? He's getting up there in age.
Close to 40. Yeah, upper 30s for sure.
Yeah, 38.
Did you? I was watching, I think, the highlights, or I was skipping around. I never know if I was watching the whole race, and I was because cyclocross, man, if you just look at the end results, you miss a lot because so many things happen early on in the race, and you're like surprised later on how they got where they were. But it was the race that Van Aert, I guess his last race that he won, which he had to sprint away to win towards. I think it was with Michael Van Torenhout.
Oh yeah,
and that's the only race that I think Mathieu van der Poel didn't win. It was
he crashed.
But did you see him passing like a bunch of riders at the time? I saw like a meme where it showed like he had a rocket like puffs coming out of his bike where he's just going up and passing a whole bunch later in the race. But I think it was earlier on when I think Curtis White was running like in the teens, doing pretty well, and Van der Poel was behind him, and they showed a shot where I saw Curtis White and Van der Poel came by him. I could see Curtis White like looking over, oh, who's that coming by me? But yeah, he must have crashed early in the beginning of the race then, did he?
Well, he crashed towards the end too, lap or two to go, I think, and he kind of lost his impetus for going really hard still too. But then Van Aert crashed too. I think it was with Isbert right at the end, and
Isbert Van Torenhout.
But he had bunny hopped all the barriers the whole race, and then he decided to get off and run them the last lap, and then just remounting, he muffed the remount, and he crashed, and then he got back up, and when he remounted again, knocked his saddle off, and so then he finished sitting on the seat post.
Oh. Well, yeah. Okay. I just remembered I was reading about the course in Tabor that they have these. Now I can't remember the word. They're not the planks. They're not the board. They're like wide. That they barriers, but they're kind of on an uphill, so it's going to be hard to ride over them.
Yeah. I remember. One year they had right. You don't have to have any barriers. You just have to have dismount sections. So I remember one year I was in Poland and there were no barriers, but there were a couple steep little hills and it was snowy, icy, I think, and that counted as dismount sections. And so so you don't have to. And really, I guess they say dismount sections, but if it's barriers and they're bunny hopping them, they aren't really dismount sections.
They're not dismount, no.
Yeah. But I think the technical rule says dismount sections. Yeah. So they don't have to have barriers. And I think in America we're more barrier happy than they are in Europe. It's very rare to have a course without multiple barriers in the U.S. But I've seen some races in Europe that have one set of barriers is all per lap, and that happens fairly regularly, I think there.
Yeah, but the steps different courses have a lot of steps to go up. So
yeah, and then sometimes just steep run-ups. Like it's especially if it's muddy, it's hard to run up them, or just there's a sharp turn and then a run up, things like that too. Yeah, it's supposed to be a diverse and interesting sport. So I think that's an idea of how people are designing courses to make it more interesting. Sand, sometimes you have a ton of sand, but this course has been, I think, essentially the same for many, many years. And so there's some courses that have certain features that they're known for too, like sand or mud or steep hills or whatever it is, cobblestones.
Yeah. I think this is maybe 80% of the normal course that they're running there. I can't find my article I was reading before, but anyway, that's coming up this weekend. And the women's side, we haven't talked about them, but also Sven Van Empel is highly favored. But I think the most exciting, maybe from North America, are the Holmgren twins, Ava and Isabella. They were in the top 10 the last race, weren't they? Who had, I think, 8th and 10th, but they're just like 18 years old and they're top 10 in World Cup from Canada. Yeah. So
they were 10th and 12th. Yep. Isabella
okay.
was 10th and then Ava was 12th. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I mean they're and they're super young. So I think they're right the next big things from North America. Um,
So
yeah,
so they do they U23? Are they racing? I don't know which one they're racing then.
I would think they're doing the U23
Yeah,
because they're
yeah,
so
because
young.
yeah, yeah.
So yeah,
'Cause
and I mean Fem Van Empel, is she even over 23 yet?
no,
She's pretty
I don't think
yeah
so. Yeah,
yeah. So I mean,
and Puck
they're
Peterson as well.
yeah they're
But
also really young too.
Lucinda Brandsman, she's definitely over the
Yeah.
older one. And she's been riding really well too.
Yeah, she was third last week,
Yeah,
just 10 seconds back. And Zoe Backstead, who's not made a whole lot of noise
yeah.
this year, and on
And she's still young, very young too,
yeah, she's same thing, 19 or 20 years. Yeah, but
right?
anyway, but she was fourth. So yeah, so she was, and then Sana Kant was seventh. Been around for quite a
Oh,
while too.
long
So
time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's what's fun because I mean, when we went, and I went, you weren't there. And at Fayetteville a couple years ago, Mariana Voss came out and got the win. So he sometimes crosses one of those things that's so skill dominated that if you have a lot of experience at it and then are showing really good form, um, you can still do well. Although,
Yeah.
a little
It's
more
gonna
so.
be I think it's gonna be a fast course though. So it
Yeah,
definitely like Clara Hunsinger, she would be maybe looking to do a lot better if it was going to be a heavier, muddier course. That's what she
she's
would
good in bad
excel in
conditions.
that. But
Yeah,
yeah, so
she was only 26th last weekend. Yeah, 338 back. But she's a person too who will have those good and bad days, but typically her starts aren't super great, and like sometimes on a harder course that she can make up for it, but on a
a
really fast course,
heavier course. Yeah.
yeah, it's a little harder to make up for that kind of stuff otherwise. So yeah, but we'll see.
All right. Well, I'm just thinking about the other news things I gleaned across. Egan Bernal rode really well. He's starting to feel more himself at the road
Well, at
national
their national
championships.
championships,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So he was
That
just
race
like
got stolen by a non-World Tour rider,
yeah,
from a
yeah.
break, right? He's the last remaining guy from a break, and
I think Higuita was with him, wasn't he?
I, I think Higuito and Bernal weren't they chasing, and
Or Burnell was chasing, yeah.
I think
He felt like himself. He liked the chase because it was just racing. Like you weren't holding back. Everyone was just going for it, and he
yeah.
liked that.
So, but they have so many World Tour riders were in that race. It ended up being a non-World Tour rider who ended up winning. So, yeah, it was good to see though, because hopefully, right now, and I wonder about that too. Everybody keeps talking about the big four for the Tour de France. It's going to be just the big
And
four,
then
big four.
yeah, and then there's an article about Simon Yates too wanting to improve his fourth
Yeah,
place to get on the podium. So how does he squeeze into the podium with those other big four riders? Yeah,
and then I mean, you don't know about people like Bernal. I mean, if they could. Last year really was the first year racing again, and did well. Not what he was pre-crash, but yeah, you never know. So hopefully it'll be good. And not just four guys racing too.
right, for sure. Well, there was one other thing. Oh yeah, Strade Bianchi. It's just about a little over a month away. It's one of the bigger one-day races. So it's getting closer to monument status. This is making it a little bit longer. It's going to be 215 kilometers for the men. They've added another circuit towards the end, 15 sectors. So yeah, it's a big weekend. I think I also read over 7,000 riders registered for the Sportive the day before, and that's John Hickox, our good friend John Hickox, goes and supports that as a mechanic and rides there too, and he's with the group that offers a trip there to do that. So yeah, that's a great weekend, and uh, I'd like to go see that sometime. That race.
I've ridden in that area, and yeah, it'd be fun to do the Sportif beforehand too and stuff too. So those roads are not really. I mean, they're very smooth gravel roads, so different than what we rode for World Championships, gravel World Championships in Italy last year. More similar to what they did in 2022. But yeah, there's I had something else. Just I think Gilbert, or no, was it someone said that they didn't think it should deserve monument status, but yeah, it's it's
Yeah,
just new. So oh no, yeah, Gilbert, yeah, said so. Who won the race? So
yeah, you can't
yeah,
have six monuments, huh?
yeah, I mean, he doesn't have the history, I guess, and stuff too.
It's
So
the most northern of the northern monument of not monuments classics. coming up. So yeah, the Spring Classic starting up towards the end of February. We've got the next World Tour stage race is the Abu Dhabi Tour, right? That's coming up.
In a
That's
month.
it.
Should be coming up. Yeah.
World Tour UAE Tour. I mean, UAE Tour the 19th of February. So and then Umlaut Newsblatt's on the 24th. Yeah. So it comes thick and heavy after that. So let's enjoy the last cyclocross. Well, it's not the last because they always have races afterwards that we don't pay attention to, but the
Cameron
World
Mason
Championships
said
this
he's
weekend.
got 4 more races after the World Championships to do. But Matteo Van der Poel said he might retire from cross racing if he wins. So he may not do any more cross racing after this. So just because it's or his last World Championships at least, it impedes too much on his preparation for road stuff, which Wolf van Aert and
Pickock, yeah.
Pickock, yeah, they both are opting out to prepare for road stuff too. So I can see that for sure, but he's won 5 or 6.
Yep, yeah, going
5?
for 6.
This would be the 6th one. If you won 6 World Championships or something, I can see where you could think, unless he just, sure he loves doing it, but unless he thinks it's really,
he has other goals.
Yeah, exactly. Although he's fulfilled an awful lot of them too. He's not really a stage racer, so he's won. Yeah, he's last year was a fantastic year, unbelievable year. So, but he's still 28. He's not very old, so he's got more years left to I'm sure he tick off some other races he hasn't won yet.
Right. All right. Well, can you think of anything else right now? Let's move to birthdays and wrap this up. Domestically, we don't have, the Valley of Sun. That's what it's called, the Valley of Sun stage race in Arizona.
Yeah.
It's in Phoenix area. That's coming up also like the 16th, 17th, 18th. Taylor was going to do a 12-hour mountain bike race in Florida, but now he's switched to do the race in Arizona. I guess his team wants him out there, and I think he's tired of riding in Florida anyway. So.
Good weather, but not such good riding. Yeah, and you were saying too, the roads, that he used to train on when he was younger, have gotten a lot busier.
Yeah,
that's always an issue too. So I always think too, and Asheville's much busier now than it used to be as well. But still, when I go out 10 miles,
the countryside,
the countryside, it's very quiet. So we still have that, and it's a little harder too because in Florida it's flat. You can just keep expanding. Here it's a little tougher. So, but yeah, a lot of places, the country's becoming more sparse and the cities are becoming more impacted over the years. So
contributor to more people wanting to go on the gravel roads and building up the gravel scene. So
and just a plug for my gravel camp too. So warrencycling.com. Look at the gravel camp, April 10th through 14th, Southern Indiana. If you want to get 4 really good days of riding gravel, check that out too.
All right. Sounds good. So we're celebrating the birthday of the controversial 50-year-old today, Roberto Heras, the Spaniard. He has a record for most Volta wins.
Wins? How many? Like 6?
No, because Primoz Roglic was trying to equal it. But Sepp Kuss got in his way. So, but
4 times. And I remember he rode a compact. No, a triple. I think he rode a triple up the Aguilera. The first year they did the Aguilera, it's super steep, like 18% climb or whatever. And I think he was the first person who rode a triple, and people were like, "You're nuts!" And then he won, and they're like, "Oh, maybe not so much nuts," but it was because before it was always you had to do a 39, 28 was a huge gear for for a small gear for people to ride, and he kind of pioneered some of that small gear stuff too. So he was a so he was no no matter what, a great racer, enhanced perhaps, but but it won a lot of big races.
U.S. Postal Service,
Jurgen
Vanderbroek is number.
Tell me before that, so I'm sorry too. So he raced for a long time.
Jurgen Vanderbroek. He was 3rd overall of the Tour in 2010. But the interesting name for me, I don't know why I think it's interesting, just because he's from Namibia. Dan Craven, he was kind of a unique rider. His birthday today, he's 41. Dan Craven, the African Continental National Champion, but and he went Namibia National Champion. But he raced
Team Eurocross.
he raced for the Israeli Cycling Academy as they were building up to be the World Tour team that they were.
Yeah.
For a
So
few.
one World Tour team was Eurocar in 14. So yeah,
All right.
I remember, he was, I mean, he not a perennial winner or anything like that too, but he was, a good rider for sure.
Yeah. Kevin Monahan, the American, celebrating his birthday today, 52 years old. Let's see, he won the U.S. Crit Championship back in 03, it looks like.
Yeah, I think when it was in Downers Grove. So, yeah.
Rode for 7-Up team.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, he was.
Right. Adam Faribault. Adam Faribault's birthday. Happy birthday, Adam. Adam raced with the 303 project with Taylor, and Adam has become quite the biathlete. That skeet shooting, where you cross country. Oh yeah, he's had. I follow him, so I can see him active in that. But yeah, that's a different kind of sport that you don't get to follow too much, except for when it's the Olympics. So. Yeah. But happy birthday, Adam. I think he's just coming back to race some though this year. Maybe I think I saw because he was taking a break to do all that shooting and skiing.
Yeah, I mean it's cross country skiing and shooting, so it's weather dependent, I think too, and the way the climate change is going, it's making it harder and harder to have reliable venues for that kind of thing.
Sure. All right, Randy. Well, it's always great to catch up with you and catch up what's going on in the world of cycling. And I had a picture of me. I didn't talk about that. I was in Portugal last week on vacation, and you teased me about all the vacations I've had, but I don't think I have a vacation out till May. So maybe we'll be more regular. I know. I don't know how I'm going to survive, but maybe we'll get a little more regular with the podcast without being broken up by me being somewhere else. So
where are you on your way to now?
Well, just going to Lexington, Kentucky tonight and back. Yeah.
No place exciting.
No place that exciting.
I say, but even though you're not going on vacations, you'll be traveling around the world. So.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, good to talk to you, and hope you have a great ride today and get some good miles in. What's your first goal here? You're getting in some long rides?
Well, I mean, just starting to train, period. But I've been lifting weights a lot this winter. A lot of lifting weights, but not hardly riding at all. I was looking the last 3 years. I'm in by far my worst shape at this time of year right now. My first race is the Hincapie Spring Series, which starts in February 17th.
Oh.
So yeah, a couple weeks away. I have a race. So luckily it's a 50 plus. I have done the 1-2 pros recently in this race before, just because it's not that hard of a course, and I think it's good to do the 1-2 pro race once in a while just to keep myself sharp. But yeah, I won't be doing. And also too, the time of the day is better for this race. The 1-2 start later in the day, and the 40 plus starts really early in the morning. And so normally I wouldn't do the 40 plus just because I don't want to. It's warmer, this time of year. But anyway, this year now they have a 50 plus, and it starts about the same time as the 1-2s. So no brainer. I'm not in very good shape, and I can start in the warmth and do a 50 plus race. So that's what I'm doing for that. Yeah. So but then yeah, I mean that's and then the Southeast Gravel first race is first week of March, I think. So second weekend of March. So that'll be a decent race. I want to be in decent shape for. So I need to start riding. And
all right.
But
all right. Let's stop 50s. Talking. Get ready to go ride.
Get some good weather coming up though. It's supposed to be in the 50s, so which is you're used to it. But yeah. So I'm gonna ride today, and to a meeting. I end up in a meeting at the end of it, so I'm hoping they're okay with. I'm sure they'll be okay with it. I'm one of the leaders, so I'll be in my kit and I bring my bike into a city building. But I think it'll all work out.
Sure. All right. Well, thanks, Randy. We'll talk to you again soon.
All right. Thanks, Dean.
All right. Bye.